video is just phenomenal stuff. Very, very cool. I could do an entire talk just based on it. Let's split these out into clients. Go ahead. Here we've got multiple clients per access point. And we'll view this out. Apparently somebody's feeling the need to call me. Okay. Here we have a ton of clients associated with a particular access point. We'll zoom out here a little bit. No, not free public Wi-Fi. This is actually conference data, and if we wanted to see what this particular access point is, we'll go ahead, break it out to its ESSID, drag it out here so that we can see it, and zoom in on it. Nothing to hide. So this is where I think it starts getting really cool. We can zoom in, and if you realize this little box that I'm dragging around here on the upper left-hand corner, this is the particular view that we're seeing. So this is the huge, 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 huge data set. If we go to the edge-weighted view, which is really neat in that you almost get kind of a tree cluster effect. And here we can see all of our clients hanging off our access points. If I do it, see if I can get it to do it for me. For me based on the SSIDs. It's not going to do it for me. The demo gods are not smiling on me today. But it's possible to do it based off of the SSIDs. So much like I did with the probe request graph, where you saw all these clients requesting in on it, the edge-weighted view will generate a huge blob in the center of the screen for all of the items requesting that particular ESSID or that particular probe. If I wanted to go in and zoom out just a little bit here, the one thing I really, really like about Maltego, and as I was saying earlier, the problem with Airgraph is that it generates such huge images, even at 1600 by 1200. Trying to work with some of this data has been a real, real pain. The fact that I can zoom in, zoom out with this is fantastic. It really allows you to interact with the data in new, novel ways. If we wanted to, say, zoom in on these particular clients, break them down into all probe requests, and here we go. So we can see very, very quickly all the various information that's just being tossed out on the airwaves for us to gather. You can link things back to IP addresses if those are picked up, your probe requests, and this will go ahead and all integrate with any other data you have. So if you're using this on your own local network and you're interested about what kind of wireless data you're leaking, take a look at it with Maltego. You'll be amazed what you'll find. Go ahead and drop back to our slides here because I could play with this all day. If we go back here, go ahead and drop back to our agenda. We're going for future work, questions and answers.
Okay, so generally our future work, you can combine these two due to the fact that we have fairly similar software and we're looking to do fairly similar things. One of the main things that we should look to do in the future would be to filter the input as well as the output so that only the information that's important to you as a user is generated in these types of graphs. So you can look at thinking about multiple different graphing engines like Maltego and Google Earth, but then there are many other pieces of software which could provide additional functionality. For example, Google Earth does require to generate new and current graphs an internet connection, so there are many different other types of graphing engines that we'll look to incorporate. I like the fact that Maltego represents everything as objects so that you could shift everything around, so that's one of the things that I'm thinking about in my future development. So future work for GIS Kismet would include the ability to look at data over time, the tracking of multiple log files, to correlate the data, to correct the access points, the locating. So you're looking at one particular access point. If you were to drive the same route doing more driving, we can actually look at correcting where those access points are. So correcting the data using multiple log files is one of the things that is very important. In addition to which, currently the application is spatially aware, so it knows, it has an idea about the GPS information that is being stored. But what I want to do will be to incorporate the spatial awareness into the database so that the database can correct the actual locating of those access points. So if you have multiple access points in a single area, the mean of those would be the actual correct location of that access point. So that way you can actually correct the data and use multiple log files to get a more accurate representation of the information. In addition to which, tracking the information over time, so you can look at, well, here are all the clients that are currently connected to my access point, but if I'm looking at this over time, I can say, here are all the clients that have ever connected to this access point, and now you can start generating a list that, perhaps they're using MAC filtering, and now you can say, okay, here are the MACs that I need to spoof, and then I can get access to this access point. Just one hypothetical. And also you can look at, if these are the particular devices that they're using, maybe we can say, okay, it seems they're using Dell laptops, so maybe internally on this organization, they have a bunch of Dell laptops, and now you're using reconnaissance information to gain some knowledge of their internal organization and the types of systems that they're using. So we have a lot of flexibility just due to the fact that it's using a database. So you can filter out the information that's most important to you.
Good.
Excellent.
Future work with airgraph. Earlier I had mentioned that I throw out a lot of data, so you guys may see things when you're playing with it that are slightly smaller than you're expecting. I'm doing work in showing all data in a single graph, doing subgraphs and labeling each subgraphs. The big issue I'm running into, once again, is size and getting it to place it where I want it. Graphiz just kind of decides that, well, I'm going to do this my own way and place everything, and sometimes you'll end up with huge blocks of white space. Once again, if anyone's more familiar with Graphiz, by all means, please come talk to me after this. I'd love to pick your brain. Trying to work on smaller images, trying to get it down to very manageable, more graph types. If anyone has any idea for more graph types, great, come tell me. I've kind of run out of ideas. I'd like to build a filtering engine for it, make it time sensitive aware, so I can say, okay, show me everything from this block of time. Possible GPS support. Not really sure where we're going with that, but hey, GPS is cool. Grouping based on channel or encryption type, that way we could generate a subgraph. So say you're out at a client and they wanted to know how many open access points they had and how many clients hanging off of it. Here's a subgraph, you can hand them. Also doing filters on BSSIDs or ESSIDs. I have full plans on implementing Kismet new core support as soon as the XML files that it generates tend to quit changing the way they work, and better statistics about the graphs. Do we have any questions, comments, concerns? People throwing things at me?
How do you deal with the GPS data? Are you just looking at the first time the access point is seen, or are you actually doing the triangulation where you get multiple reads and trying to pinpoint its location?
So
I was going to say, I'm not dealing with GPS data at all. That's a better question for him.
yeah. So the question is, what are we doing with the GPS data? And currently, you're looking at the best guess for Kismet. So eventually, what we're going to do is incorporate the information to look at multiple log files, tracking the information over time, and then saying, okay, based on all of these log files, what is the most accurate representation for where that access point is?
Any other questions?
You guys are leaving. We still haven't given you the URLs.
Yeah, for everyone.
You guys don't know where the code is yet.
Yeah, I apologize.
We're getting there.
I've got bright lights in my face. I cannot see hands. You're going to have to yell. No, at this point I have not looked at any of that. I don't really deal with the ad hoc stuff, but it is definitely a very good idea, and there's an idea for a new graph type. Anyone else?
Just off the topic of before too many people in, there has been an iPhone lost on this floor within the past hour. If anybody should happen to find it, please contact one of the blue shirt staff members.
Okay, if anyone couldn't hear him here, there's been an iPhone that has been lost in this room, Ziploc?
No, on this floor.
Oh, on this floor. So if anyone finds it, find somebody with a blue shirt, turn it over to them. Very expensive toys. I'm sure somebody is missing it greatly. That being said, since there doesn't seem to be any other questions, which means either I've totally bombed here or we did really, really well and everything worked great.
Everything makes sense.